Y'all doing tonight? Woo! Y'all having a good one? Cool. Alright, I'm gonna do kind of a weird set. Not weird set, but can y'all hear me? Anybody that wants to?
I can hear you.
Y'all in the back? Alright, cool. Well, I should be fine without a mic then. Alright, yeah, I just printed off a bunch of newer stuff, so, it's gonna be less like, rehearsed shit, but, you know, whatever. Hopefully y'all enjoy it. How are y'all doing? Anybody got any good jokes? Hell yeah. Alright. I'll do one of the more catchy, performy ones. This is probably the oldest thing I'll be reading tonight. It's called Flowers on a Grave. I hope y'all enjoy it. 1, 2, 3, here we go. The plan was always to go out glorious, young, bloody, and laughing, a story worth telling when all the living are dead. To doom what would doom us with the courage of those with nothing left to fear anymore. To make all those liquid courage promises and schemes made around bonfires in the middle of the night into a part of the historical record. And sometimes it does go just like that. Some desperate last stand for the one thing you have left to your name, when you know that there's no winning here, but you'll make sure that that loss doesn't come cheap. A moment on the news to make the anchorman put his stern face on that brings millions to cheer when nobody's looking regardless. And sometimes it comes as tragic surprise, and there's a building you can go to and yell for justice or break shit for vengeance, as if there's a settlement or repair bill in the world that can make up for what we've lost. But most of the time, what gets us comes on its own terms and has no headquarters to storm. The highway, the railroad, some stranger you said the wrong shit to, who saw you at the wrong time, an illness you can't afford to keep at bay, a night too cold, the things we do to feel better when nothing in the world as we know it will do the trick, and the things we do when nothing does the trick, and the words that we use always feel just a little bit too dull. Tragedy's just another word for something you can't do shit about, and I ain't ready to take that for an answer. And while sadness is always part of the picture, it's angry that comes in clearest. Just because an outrage doesn't have a face or an address doesn't make it any less of one. You can chalk it up to society, lay it all on capitalism, but all society is just the best decisions we all make with the options we have at our disposal. And sometimes capitalism's just a word we use when we need a name for what's wrong that sounds smarter than everything. So a fight with everything it is. Better that than letting one of ours pass silent and sad. So if I die young, blame it on the police. If it's not their fault, it might as fucking well be. Blame it on your boss, your landlord, your self-loathing, that ATM over there, anything that keeps you from a life you get to make and define. Mourn me with a riot, or some badass illegal party, anything but straightforward, bileless sorrow. And if you die on your terms, or on terms that you had no part in, or even smiling in your sleep, I will do my damnedest to avenge everything that ever stood in the way of you and me, and a life of our own creation while you were here. The best we could hope for is a chance to die old and unashamed, and if not, well, still, no better flowers on a grave. This one I don't think I've actually ever read out loud before, but it's about country music in all of its forms and kind of autobiographical too. So I haven't checked it for like grammar mistakes, so there might be some tripping over myself. And I think I'm gonna light a cigarette for this one because it's gonna be fun. Y'all can hear all right though? Yeah, everyone's having a good time. Anybody wants to scooch in? Don't y'all worry. But yeah, I guess this is called Country Music Part 2. I have a short little one I wrote about country music 5 years ago. This is the sequel. 1, 2, 3, here we go. I learned to love country music on a road trip I wasn't sure I'd make it out of alive. Chevy van cutting through the South like a boomerang, tornadoes and Klan rallies, danger and despair, and someone at the wheel who answered to love her and did so fiercely but hated even fiercer still. Along the way, the CD player broke down, so what started off as a soundtrack of anarcho-punk, old folk songs and doo-wop turned into what the radio had to offer, and most of the time, where we were, the options were Christian, talk radio, and country. So we wound up with country, and I'm not talking about the classics. And the stereo sung like a medium, multitasking between all the souls buried and living in all the lands where no Wi-Fi called that we blew past and begged for gas and dodged cuffs in, and it called like a lighthouse, saying there may still be some harbor harbor waiting for you, and the road and the fools that chase it, and your heart that breaks you apart and whips you every which way like a rodeo bull, finally fling you onto the rocks. It's no revolution and no promised land, but it's hard work, decent people, a little love and plenty of heartache, and you could complain for millions of reasons and not tell a single lie along the way, but country music has never been the style to sing "This Isn't Fair" in. Now, when most people talk about old, real country being better than all that new pop country bullshit, they'll say it's grittier and more badass and less produced and more real. I agree with all but the last part. Because I don't know how life went back in the golden age of honky-tonk among the people who lost the class war, living in the places that lost the civil one too. But these days, life is a hell of a lot less duels in the streets of Laredo, standing on legs broken in Santa Fe, and a hell of a lot more of the little things. Long work weeks to prove at least sweating is something that you're good for. Barroom flirting turned DUI flings. Small towns you can memorize like a slam poet till they go boom or turn ghost. The ones you love to keep you putting up, and the dream of escape when that's not enough. Barbecues, cold beers, and swimming holes. All the small things turned heroic. Because if this life of sorrow can't make us heroes, what's even the point? I spent the Obama years living this life like an outlaw country song in everything but the accent, the best that I could. Every so often, crying myself to sleep over some brand new Nashville bullshit, thinking it might not be the worst thing to be able to sing along and not be lying. But the pop country life isn't always something you pick. Most of the time it picks you. There comes a time when you could blow through all the white lines on the highway like it's Wall Street in the 80s and find no high worth the crash that comes with it. A time when you realize that all the old school country legends wouldn't have sung so many praise songs if they didn't have atoning to do. A time when it seems like the life you landed in is too little to be worth so much as a mention on a state map, let alone big enough to hold you. When a simple, normal, decent life is no longer refuge from a rocky sea, but just another cage that people only seem to celebrate because it's the only alternative to oblivion, no matter how much oblivion still slips inside regardless. That the celebration of winning scratch tickets, swimming holes, whiskey-loving beauties, and noble grandfathers were just nothing but the radio in the morning when you wake up in a field that was parking lot for something terrible that somehow happened to be the least of your troubles last night, before turning back to a town that was standing yesterday but disaster zone today, just a distraction in a hopeless time. There's a reason every country song sounds just about ready to pack up and disappear. Hell, half of them say it by name. 100,000 songs about running away, none that I know of about pulling it off. Most never do, or soon come back, swearing that they'll never leave, while they look for a better chance to do so. And those that do pull it off never tune into a country station newer than Reaganomics for the rest of their days, half not to get tempted and sad, half not to get reminded of a life they neither liked nor had a use for. And if they still write songs, there's no way to know because they never make it onto the radio. Half because the true story's too ugly to ever fit between radio traffic and Honda dealer commercials, half because it might just be a story too irresistible to only get secondhand from just one of the senses. And then who's going to stand behind the gas station counters? Something like that. Probably going to do one more, and then, yeah, if there's a chance later on, do some other shit. Try not to use up all the fun ones. Well, fuck it. Yeah, alright, cool. This is also kind of a sequel to one of my earliest poems called What We've Been Given. That one kind of runs on the pattern of every line is, I want it to be this, I want it to be that. This one's called The Road to Right Here, and you'll see the pattern pretty quickly. Because the price was right. Because I was bored. Because it seemed like the right thing to do. Because it seemed like the only thing to do. Because it was what my grandparents did. Because you don't say no to an order. Because I was tired of being alone. Because I wanted my name to be one of the ones carved in granite. Because I wanted to make my father proud. Because my family comes first, let the rest worry about their own. Because I needed some way to blow off steam. Because nobody was looking. Because that's how the world works. Because fuck that guy. Because my turn. Because our turn. Because it's always been our turn. Because guilt is easier to bury than shame. Because God wills it. Because god damn it we're right. Why can't they see it? Because it was such a great plan, except for that one little snag. Because because it's the opposite of what my grandparents did, because it's not my problem, because everything is my problem, because look where doing the right thing has gotten me so far, because it's too late to turn back now. Because I work my ass off day in, day out, and you expect me to cry for you? Because a law is a law. What's so hard to understand about that? Because it was just sitting there like a present, all unlocked and ready. Because what she doesn't know won't hurt her. Because if they really had a clue what keeps the lights on, they'd lose their minds. Because somebody's got to take out the trash, if you know what I mean. Because a job's hard to come by these days. Why throw it all away over what I believe? Because I could, that's why. Because I wanted to not hurt quite so bad. Because I was tired. Because I needed to feel alive again. Because it was now or never. Because I'll make it up to you later. Because, well, there's no excuse. Does it help that I'm sorry? Because fuck you. No, because fuck you. Just look at what these people do left to their own devices. Walk into a crowd and tell me there's a single one that you would trust with your PIN number, your darkest secret, the future of this world. Because people are only as good as the threats to keep them that way. Because our problems could just go away if they just listen. If not to me, then at least to somebody just like me. Because we're making a better world, and all that won't fit can be made to fit or get out of here. What do we care? I've never been to hell. But I know the road to right here is a trail miles wide, blazed by all who walk it, every one of us, with dozens of different reasons apiece. Not good intentions, usually, or bad ones either, just understandable ones, given everything. So tell me again how all of our misfortunes can be traced right back to the Federal Reserve. Tell me about a time, past or on its way, where doing a couple things different would make all the difference in this world. Tell me, with all of us here, being exactly who we are, how it's possible for this life to get nothing but 5-star reviews. Anything that looks like a detour usually becomes a brand new lane before long, leading to a here and now, a little bit different but mostly the same. But I don't want to lie down, and I don't want to stay here, so all there is to do is look for some untrod ground and get on my way, hoping against all the odds it leads somewhere other than here. Thank y'all. I'll be back later. Need me?